good. Yes.
It's the thrill of one more kill, the last one to fall. We'll never sacrifice their will. I'll never look back. I'll never close again. We'll be attacked with our waves of rain. All the pain will begin.
named in Selby. But this way you'll get to see both different performances and how they're different. I've heard there was a secret chord David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor four, the major
All right, next up is Jack Grimes. I'm running out of jokes, so I have one more. What U.S. state has the smallest soft drinks? Minnesota.
Hey guys. Oh, that's echoey. Alright, so, a couple days ago, Rachael asked me if I'd come to this and do something. And I told her, yeah, I could fill 10 minutes, and she didn't ask me with what. So now I'm going to tell you the longest joke in the world. Our story begins in the desert, somewhere in the American Southwest. There's a guy, he's walking across the desert, and with nothing else more intellectually stimulating to do, he recounts the story of how he's got there. A couple days ago, he got a new SUV on a loan, and decided it'd be a good idea to take it out off-roading across the desert. And he stops for gas in this really little New Mexico town, and a couple miles outside the town, he hits this rock that he didn't see because it was half buried, flips up, hits the undercarriage of his SUV, messes a bunch of stuff up, and now he can't start it. And for a day, he stayed in the car, tried to fix it, but there were all these car fluids leaking out. Dude was no mechanic. It was all sandy and gritty under there. And he slept in the back seat the first night and drank all of the water he had because he wasn't planning ahead. That's an important lesson. And he decided the next day to set out into the desert. And he's brought an umbrella with him that he had in the trunk. He's brought a crowbar that he had in the trunk. He has a bottle of sunscreen, and he still has the water bottle, and he decided to fill it with the windshield washer fluid because he heard you could drink that, like it's mostly water. And he's also heard that, it's soapy and they put a poison in there, so that makes you sick, right? So hobos can't just go get a bottle of it and get drunk. But he decides if he's desperate enough, he can drink that. And he's walking across the desert, and he crosses this creek bed that he doesn't remember, and he starts to worry that maybe he's getting lost. But he keeps going in what he thinks is a straight line as best as he can navigate with the sand, because it's very flat apart from, the occasional cactus or a dead tree or something, and he doesn't really have any landmarks to go by. And he was following his tire tracks for a while to make it back to the town, but he lost them because they got blown over and stuff, and eventually the sun goes down and he's horribly dehydrated, and he basically just stops walking and passes out in the sand. Sun comes up, it's the next morning, he wakes up, he feels terrible. His eyes and his nose are all filled with sand, they're all gummy and gross, and he decides that, maybe it's time to drink a little bit of this windshield washer fluid and put that to the test, and he drinks it, and it's soapy and it's nasty, and don't ever drink that, ever. But it feels great because his mouth was all dry and his throat was dehydrated. And so it's given him a little bit of energy, or at least a little bit of urgency, because he's like, man, there's probably methanol in that, I'm gonna go blind if I don't get to, if I don't get back to town. So he's walking the second day, but he's got no energy, he's got no food, and so eventually he's crawling, and he's like, man, how'd it come to this? Now I'm that dude crawling across the desert thinking about water. Guys, it's not over yet. We're not at the... Hold on. And he's crawling up this sand dune, and it's just so much effort to get up here. It's like, he's thinking it's like the hardest thing he's ever had to do, because he's just malnourished and dehydrated, and he's got nothing going for him. And he makes it to the top, and when he makes it to the top, his arms give out, and he just rolls down the other side of this hot sand dune. And when he reaches the bottom, he hits something hard, and he hits his head and passes out. And he wakes up again, and the sun is starting to go down, so he can't see really great. It's getting dark, it gets cold in the desert at night. But he kind of does like a push-up thing, and looks down, and he sees that he's on some kind of stone thing that's a darker color than the sand, like it's a brown. And he tries to stand up, but he really can't, so he kind of just sits and leans back and looks around at what's going on. And there's this stone disc in the sand that's somehow not covered by the sand, even though it looks very old. And in the center of it, there's this wooden rod that's sticking up out of it, maybe about 4 feet high. And wrapped around this rod, looking at him, is easily a 10-foot-long desert rattlesnake. And the guy thinks, well, I'm either hallucinating and I'm going to die, or this snake's going to bite me and I'm going to die, and I don't really feel like moving. So he lays back down on the stone, and it's nice because it feels kind of cool, even though it's dark stone in the sun. He was like, the last thing he thinks before falling asleep is, man, why is the stone not hot from the sun? And he wakes up the next day and he feels terrible again, but he's a little less sandy. He looks at the rest of that windshield washer fluid, wondering if it's worth it to drink it. And he hears this voice, and the voice is like, hey man, are you alright? Can I help you out? And he looks around, and he's like, I'm going crazy, obviously from dehydration, because nobody could have said that. But he hears it again, he's like, dude, hey, over here. And he looks up, and the snake is talking to him. And he thinks, again, I'm just going insane from being in the desert. There's obviously not a talking snake out here. But he decides at this point, it's probably a safe strategy to just roll with it. And he says, yeah, man, do you have some water for me? And the snake says, no, I don't, but I can maybe help you out. And he says, really? Because it would be great to not be thirsty anymore. And suddenly his shoulder hurts, and he shoots up and looks, and there's a bite mark on his shoulder. And he thinks, great, I'm gonna die now from this snake bite. But after a couple minutes, he really starts to feel a lot better, and he feels like maybe he doesn't want that water as much anymore. And the snake is like, you're welcome. And he says, for what, you biting me? And the snake says, no, man, I granted that wish. You should be good, you should be set for life now. Your body kind of retains water like a cactus, so you should be good as long as you're eating food. And the guy says, wow, that's amazing. Why'd you decide to help me out? What's your deal? And the snake says, well, there's a couple of rules I gotta follow. One, if somebody comes out here and finds me, they're obviously in trouble because we're way out in the desert, and I'm obligated to help them out. But there are a few rules concerning that. The first request you make is free. But for the second one, you have to never tell the secret, and for the third one, you take a vow of responsibility. And the guy says, well, what if I'm good and I just leave? And the snake says, well, then you can go and you can tell people this story and it'll be fine, but they probably won't believe you, and you've got a lot of methanol in you. So for your second request, you might want to address that if you don't want to go blind in a couple of hours. And the guy says, all right, well, go ahead and do that, and I'll keep it a secret. And the snake says, great. And so he's thinking about where he wants to get the snake. He wants to have the snake bite him next, because that's how whatever request it was is delivered, because obviously he doesn't have arms or anything. And he's thinking, he's like, where do I want it? Like my leg, like on my shoulder again, because that one doesn't really hurt anymore. It's starting to heal up. And the snake's like, hey, look, there's a truck coming over the dune. And he says, really? And he turns around, and the snake bites him on the butt. And he's like, why'd you do that? And the snake says, look, man, you were going to take like all day to decide. You probably would have been dead before you picked a place for me to bite you. And the guy's like, all right, that's a fair point. Because he's starting to feel better at this point anyway. He's still very hungry, but he can focus a little bit better, and he's not as thirsty anymore. And he says, hey, you said that when I made that second request, I had to promise you that I'd keep things a secret. What's the secret? And the snake says, hey, well, you see that stick over there that's sticking up out of the stone? He says, yeah, what's that about? Is that just like your snake perch? And he says, no, that's a lever. And if you pull the lever, it will end humanity. And the guy's like, what? Why does that lever exist? And the snake says, I don't know, man. I've been living here my whole life. There was another snake before me and presumably before him. But all I know is about the lever and what it does and the rules about how I need to help anybody out who finds it. And he says, well, I can definitely keep that a secret. And the snake says, great. Town is 45 miles north of here, and kind of points with his tail to where it needs to go. And the guy said, and the snake says, it's probably like a day and a half in your state, but it would be good to get some food first. And the guy says, you got anything? And the snake says, well, I mean, I can scare something out of its burrow and bite it for you if you want. And but there's no way to make a fire. And he's like, I think I can handle it. I don't want to, eat like a raw desert rat. Are y'all bored yet? So he makes his way back to town. He finds a guy who has a tow truck and talks him into going out and finding his SUV and towing it back. He tells people the story, minus the whole snake and the lever thing, about how he hit a rock, got lost, and then staggered his way back into town. And the people feel sorry for him, and they pitch a little bit of money in, and within a week he has enough to get a ticket. He flies back to see his family. His mom and dad are relieved because they both thought he was dead. But the next summer he decides, better prepared, to go out and visit the snake again, because he's so grateful that this snake basically saved his life. And it's in about the same place he remembers, but this time his car is fixed and he's more careful. So he goes out by a better route and he arrives at the big stone circle, and the snake is there, and he says, hey man, I'm back. I left without really saying anything, and I wanted to formally thank you. And he says, my name is Jack Sampson. And the snake says, good to meet you, man. My name's Nathan. You can call me Nate. And he says, hey, about that about that third request, about with the responsibility. And the snake says, yeah, do you have one? And he says, yeah, has anybody ever made it? And the snake says, yeah, there was a guy named Sam who used to come out here, and we were really good buds, and he brought me books and stuff, and it's how I kind of know about what the world is like outside of this desert. And Sam was a really great guy, but he died a couple of months ago, but he told me somebody else was coming, and I think maybe it's you. And so Jack asked the snake, so what did he wish for his third request? And the snake says, well, I told him what the responsibility for the third request was. And that's that this lever that ends humanity, I can't push it myself because I'm a snake. So the responsibility you take on is that if you ever feel like it's a thing that needs to be done, you come out here and you pull the lever. And so he sits down on the stone, he thinks about it for a while. Because he's like, it's a responsibility, but also he thinks it's kind of an honor. And so he asks some questions. He's like, what if I hit it by accident? Does that count? And Nate's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that counts. Or like, what if I just like trip over it? Yeah, that all counts, man. It's just gotta be you to hit it. And he says, all right, well, I'll take it, but for the third request, I want the wisdom to know if it's actually the right choice to do it. So the snake bites him like on the arm this time, and he gets in his car and he drives off. But he keeps coming back. He finds a job in that little town at the gas station, and then every couple of days he'll drive out to this spot on the dune and he'll talk to Nate the snake and teaches him about what things have been like since Sam stopped bringing books, brings him some more books, and then eventually brings him a laptop that he's like taped up to keep the sand out, and it's got like the trackpad on it because he thinks maybe a snake could operate that, and it's got a solar charger and it's got a satellite uplink. And he's like, wow, thanks, man. Nobody's ever done this for me. And Jack tells the snake, I got you this because I'm going away for a while. Since you granted me all that wisdom, I've taken up writing, and a lot of people have been buying my books. So I got an RV, and I'm going on a book tour. And I'm going to be traveling across the country to all these places, signing books with all these people who really like my work. And I wanted to thank you for that. And the snake says, hey, no, it's no problem, man. It's really great that you've recovered and that I got to save you. And he says, but before you leave, there's somebody I want you to meet. And this other little, like a 4-foot snake comes out from behind the lever. And it says, hi, I'm Sammy. And he says, was there another snake the whole time? And Nate says, no, this is my son. Because like the snake before me, I think it's almost my time and I want somebody to carry it on. But I need you to do me a favor first. And Jack says, what is it? And the snake tells him, I want you to take Sammy on this book tour and show him the world. And then, oh no, I turned it off. And then, when you come back, I want you to bring a sword, and I want you to kill me because I think it's time for me to pass this responsibility on to another snake. And he thinks about it for a while because this is a really good friend, despite being a snake. And he says, yeah, I think I can man up and handle it. And Nate says, that's really great, man. I appreciate it. Go ahead and show Sammy the country and what it's like. So he takes Sammy in his car and they drive back, and he's like sitting in the passenger seat, and they can't figure out how to put a seatbelt on a snake, so he drives kind of slow going back into town. And then they go on this book tour, and he gets an RV, and they travel all these places, and they're sending emails back and forth with Nate, and he says that's really great that he's experiencing the world, and he's going to know so much more than I ever would. And eventually it turns into them traveling the world, because the book tour got him a lot of sales, got him a lot of money, so they're flying around, and they go to Australia, they go to Japan, and in Japan he buys in this little local antique shop this really nice samurai sword, and he's like, all right. And when he sees it, that reminds him of the responsibility that he took on, and he says, all right, I think it's time. So he emails Nate about the sword, and Nate says, yeah, that's good. Go ahead and start coming back. But he's stalling because Nate is a really great friend, and even though he's promised, he really doesn't want to do it. So he stays, and he learns about it, and he saves up a little bit to buy it, and he actually takes lessons on how to use it, which are unnecessary. It's a sword, but he's really stalling. And finally, they find themselves back in the little New Mexico town, and they're loading up the RV, and he thinks the sun is starting to go down, but he thinks if I wait one more day, I might not be able to do this. So I think it's time to go back now. and they drive off with the RV with Sammy and the sword off into the desert back toward the lever and the stone disc and Nate. And they're going up and down the dunes, but he's never driven the RV out into the desert before, so it's not handling really well. Like, he's not getting a lot of traction in the sand, so he's swerving all over the place, and he's like skidding out, and he's having trouble getting up hills. And finally, they're coming up over the last dune, and the steering starts to give out because it's sandy and because there's like no traction. And he's freaking out because he sees, like, through the windshield, he's coming up over the hill, and he sees Nate and he sees the lever, and he's rolling down the hill, and he's starting to pick up speed, and he can't quite get it because he thinks he's gonna have to hit one of them. So he swerves out of the way and he runs over the snake and he says, "Better Nate than lever." Thank you.
I just want to ask how you like my mustache. Next we have Camden, so give him a warm welcome.
Hi. So I didn't really know what to sing tonight, and then last night I thought of the song, and then I get the musical today, and Rachael was also singing it. So, sorry, Rachael. You did really good.
Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Maybe there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew ya. And it's not a cry that you hear at night, it's not somebody who's seen the light, it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Baby, I've been here before, I've seen this room and I've walked this floor, you know, I used to live alone before I knew ya. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch, but love is not a victory march, it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, there was a time when you let me know what's really going on below, but now you never show that to me, do ya? But remember when I moved in you and the holy dove was moving too, and every breath we drew was hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
right, I guess I don't need an introduction or anything. Thanks, guys. How about you do it, Brian? Thanks, Brian. All right, I'm gonna be playing 2 songs in A minor, actually. So, and I can't sing like all these other guys. So, just bear with me here. Song. Here's a song by a Canadian. Hey, hey.
Hi.
Let's give them another round of applause. Up next, we got Aaron Dunlap.
at 3% right now, and I'm going to look at the chords from it, so it's like going to be a short intermission. She's going to get on her phone so my phone doesn't die in the middle, because that would just be really bad singing.
I'm singing Can't Help Falling in Love with You. It's by Elvis, but I'm singing like a mixture of a bunch of different covers of it. So yeah. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall